Good evening. Hand today is pocket eights. So in this hand, we have a pre-flop raiser. He's playing 35-14. Mid-position play, raise first in about 25%. Tends to be somewhat loose. A little bit on the aggressive side. I think he's probably doing it with all pocket pairs. Probably with, some offsuit broadways, some suited connectors. We have 4 bets with 7s and 8s, called 3 bets, in position with king jack off, limp and called to raise with king 9 suited. That might be playing position. So probably we've got this range here. Maybe I think we'll just go with it, and then it's to me. And this is versus mid position, so I have that as my calling range, which has some hands to hit trips, some broadways, some playable hands. So I called, and we go heads up. So let's get hands onto the sheet. Pre-flop raise, we've got 8.9, so 118 combos. He's playing 22.5. 298 combos. And we see a board of ace of spades, king of spades, 9 of clubs. Now, just based on his range, that's going to hit his range a whole lot harder than it's going to hit my range. He's got the aces, he's got the kings, he's got ace king. I don't have any of that. So we just have to be aware that we're likely behind. And that's basically what it shows. So our equity is 45.4 versus 54.6. So villain checks, and the question is, what is he going to check here? What would he not bet? So I kind of think he's going to be betting straight sets, 2 pairs, top pair. His cbet out of position is 60%. In positions 100%, so 3 out of 5 versus 6 out of 6. I do think he's planning to cbet. He would cbet a lot. I think maybe the middle pair will check because he's worried about the ace, pocket pair, no mate hand. I think flush draws, gut shots, all check. So probably checking something like that, and then it would be on us. So what can we do? Well, it kind of comes down to, what do we think he would fold? I think if I bet, he's not going to be folding these draws, flush draw with gut shots. I think he'll fold his no mate hand here, so go from 65 down to 63.4, which really isn't a huge amount. Because we're just getting rid of like the non-gut shot draws. Pocket pair below the boards probably fold, and that means we're going 65 down to 46, so almost a third of the hands. And the bottom pair, I think bottom pair probably calls. So I think we're going from 65 to 46. 65 to 46. 65 to 46. So he's continuing with 46. So 70%, he's folding 30% of the time. What would be our plan on future cards? So I think if we bet and he folds, then I think we continue betting with any lower card, say 7 or lower. I think that's going to get him to fold the bottom pairs. I think he'll fold the bottom pairs. he might fold these jacks, tens, and queens. I think middle pair might still call. He might fold. We're both fairly deep. Say that's 50%. Flush draw still going to call. Gut shot is kind of the questionable. Would he continue calling gut shot? And he might, or he could fold. I kind of think we've got 7 or lower. We're going to fire a double barrel, no problem, and go from there. So what hands are we going to be betting here? I think top pair we're going to bet. I think middle pair we're going to bet. Maybe not all middle pairs. Like king 10 is questionable, but king queen we should bet, because I think king jack, king 10 is going to call us. We could bet the king 10 as kind of like he's calling us with pocket pairs that would probably fold, so we can get some value with that. Should we do pocket pair below the second card? I don't think so. So let's see here. That is his. Let's get that. That's his checking range, 65%. And then I do think we can bet our gut shot. I think we can bet our flush draws. Flush draws and pairs. 39-16. I'm not sure. I think he's justified. Would he really bet his flush draws? Or would he really check his flush draws? I don't know. I mean, that doesn't affect any of the hands that he has there. If we take the flush draws out, I think the gut shots he could be justified. Or maybe he's just calling here, he's checking here because he's on a draw and he doesn't want to get raised off it. That could be the play. So if that's what he's doing, I definitely think we're going to be increasing our betting here. So maybe betting with the 10s, and then our ranges, maybe the 2-card backdoor flush draw we add. So maybe 62%. And I think here we're gonna be betting maybe four big blinds, which is what I did, and I think that's okay. And he calls. So let's stick with this range for me. 62%. Number of combos is reduced to 62. We bet. Let's say he folds the no mate hand. Pocket pair below the boards. It depends on how he thinks. I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to say, you know what, he tried this board. Ace, king, 9 could hit a big part of my range, so we'll get rid of that. And I think there are quite a few people that are just going to get rid of those. Not all of them. Looser players will definitely call ones. They may actually even bet those hands. So river's jack of clubs, and that's, I think, just a really bad hand for me. A really bad card. Hits a big part of his calling range. Queen 10, obviously, but you know, king jack is good, would call possibly the 9 jack or jack 9, ace jack, ace queen. I mean, it's just so many hands, and he checks again, and I just think he's going to be checking 100% here. So when we look at equity, my equity's actually improved a little bit because we put him on the defensive, and we do have some premium hands in our range now. But once he checked, I think he's going to be checking 100%, and then it's on me. What do we do? Well, we have to consider, what is he going to call with? I don't know if he's going to. I think middle pair calls. When you look at the hands, it's got king, queen, king 10. That's so middle pair with the gut shot. He'll probably call again. We're pretty deep. I think he calls unless I bet something big. And then even then he might say, well, I'm trying to get him to fold. And it could work out with the king. I definitely don't think he's going to be folding 2-pair. So I think if I bet, this is iffy. We could probably set 50%. Queens, it kind of falls with the middle pair. I mean, if it 50% chance that he might call with them, but I actually think most people are going to fold that. I think most people are going to fold that middle pair. Flush draw is definitely going to still call. Open-ended straight draw is going to call. Everything else is going to fold. So I think if I bet, he's only going to be continuing 38.8%. So that, knowing that he's going to be folding a whole lot, it would kind of justify us in betting. Or no, we're betting our straights, our sets. I think our 2-pair, top pair, I think I'm gonna bet. Middle pair, I also think we're gonna bet here, and we're gonna hope if he calls, then I think we're gonna check it down. I think with middle pair, we're basically, I think, gonna convert that into a bluff. Is what we're gonna be doing here. I don't think an ace. I take that back. I think we're going to be checking with a huge proportion. However, I do think we're going to be betting with the flushes. I think we're going to continue betting with the flushes and betting with our straight sets and 2-pairs. I think that's what we're going to be betting with, and I think everything else is going to be checking. Even the top pair, I kind of think if we check with our top pair, he may bet into us, and we can be justified in calling, because then if we check, I think king might try to bet, or a jack or a 9 could try to bet to try to get us to fold. So that's, I think, top pair hand, we could be justified in checking. What do I do? So I bet about half pot. So let's set this. Let's say I did bet top pair here. So we're betting 58.9%. This is 33 combos. And then he calls. So I think that's his calling range. We already said 38.8. So definitely you can see that equities have kind of switched. Equities have switched. So he calls, and then 4 clubs. He checks. I think based on the players, I think a lot of with the flushes and straights and sets and 2-pairs, they're just going to check, and they're going to look to either check raise or just call. I think they're going to check raise with the flush, probably check raise with the straight. Sets, probably check raise 2-pair, maybe just call. So it's on us. I think if we bet our flush, we can get called. We might get some value, and so that's why we bet to continue getting value from that flush. The straights, if we bet, who's going to call us? If we bet, I think the flush calls, straights calls, sets calls, 2-pair calls. Top pair probably calls if he had it, but I think we're getting called 86.8% of the time, and you can see that most of the time, so 46%, 47%, about 47% of the time they have a straight plus. So if they're going to do it with that 47% of the time, I think we bet with our flush and our straight. Maybe with our set's probably mixed, and then we check with everything else. I think we check with everything else. So what do? I did check. And I know I had 8s. And 8s was not in my range. because I got rid of it on here, this pocket pair below the board. I had a betting range, and then if I'm going to be betting pocket pair below the board here, then you can see I get really unbalanced, because that's basically bluffs. If I'm going to do pocket pair below the boards, I'm probably also doing bottom pair. And if I was ahead, if I raised this and got called, I think this is appropriate. We're justified, but we called, and thus you can see we will have a lot more of these hands in our range. So I think we should have just checked those, and that's where I went wrong. That's what I think messed me up here. What did Villain show? He showed Queen Jack, so he did have one of these. Queen Jack, so river. It was the gut shot. He called. Is that right? No, Queen Jack. It was this middle pair. No, weak pair. He called with the Queen Jack. So he called with a gut shot. And then he called again when he had a pair. He obviously didn't believe what we had. And I don't necessarily blame him, because we don't have aces, we don't have kings, we don't have ace king. Now we could have ace suited, we could have king suited, some of the, let's say king 10, king jack. So I think he surprised me a little bit. All right, so this is a hand. Overall, I don't think I should have bet on the flop. I think eights should be a hand that I just check, because then if an eight comes out, I'm gonna probably make some money, make some additional money. Whereas if I just check, and he bets on the turn, it kind of comes down to, did it connect? Do I think he's gonna have that ace? I think this board just doesn't. It hits him more than mine. So by betting, at least at the time when I played this, I probably had way too many bluffs in my hand, and pocket eights would be a bluffing hand. It's trying to get king X to fold, queen X to fold. I'm not betting for value. All right, look tomorrow for another hand.